My girlfriend insisted I meet her parents over dinner. She trashed me in Spanish to them all night, thinking I wouldn't understand. She laughed. He's too stupid to even know. At the end of the dinner, I thanked her parents for their hospitality in perfect, fluent Spanish, and then exposed the lie she'd ever told me. I, 29M, never thought a simple dinner invitation would destroy my 3-year relationship and reveal just how little my girlfriend really knew about me. But sometimes the universe has a twisted sense of justice. My girlfriend had been pushing me for months to meet her parents. They lived about 2 hours away, and she always had excuses about why we couldn't visit. Work was too busy, her mom was sick, her dad was traveling. There was always something. I didn't push it because I figured she'd introduce me when she was ready. Then last month, she suddenly insisted we drive down for dinner. She seemed nervous about it, which I thought was normal. Meeting parents is stressful. She kept asking me weird questions during the drive. Had I ever studied languages in college? Did I watch foreign films? Stuff like that. I told her the truth. I majored in business and mostly watched action movies. She seemed relieved by my answers. What she didn't know was that my grandmother raised me until I was 12. My abuela spoke only Spanish at home, and I was completely fluent before I ever learned to write properly in English. When she passed away and I moved in with my dad, he discouraged me from speaking Spanish. He said it would hold me back, that I needed to focus on being American. Like an idiot, I listened to him. I stopped speaking Spanish except for the occasional conversation with my uncle or when I helped translate for neighbors. My girlfriend knew none of this. In 3 years together, it had never come up naturally, and I'd never thought to mention it. She knew my grandmother had raised me, but she assumed my dad's side of the family since my last name is Johnson. She had no idea my grandmother was Mexican. When we pulled up to her parents' house, I could tell she was anxious. Her hands were shaking as she knocked on the door. Her mother answered, a tiny woman who looked exactly like an older version of my girlfriend. Her father appeared behind her, a stocky man with kind eyes and calloused hands that spoke of decades of manual labor. The introductions were awkward. Her parents spoke broken English, smiling politely but clearly struggling. My girlfriend immediately switched to Spanish to help them, and I played along, smiling and nodding when appropriate. They seemed like genuinely nice people, the kind who'd give you the shirt off their back. During the first hour, everything seemed normal. We sat in their living room making small talk. Well, my girlfriend and her parents talked while I sat there looking friendly but clueless. I caught every word, of course, but they were just discussing work, the weather, typical safe topics. Then her mother asked when dinner would be ready, and her father mentioned they should probably start eating soon because he had to work early the next morning. Standard family dinner conversation. I was actually enjoying listening to them interact. My girlfriend seemed more relaxed around her parents, more herself than I'd seen her in months. But as we moved to the dining room, something shifted. Her mother had prepared an incredible spread. Homemade tortillas, carne asada, rice and beans, the works. It smelled exactly like my grandmother's cooking, and I had to fight back unexpected emotions. I complimented the food enthusiastically, and her mother beamed with pride. That's when my girlfriend started talking. At first, it was innocent enough. She told her parents I was a good guy, that I treated her well. I smiled appropriately, playing the part of the oblivious boyfriend. But then her tone changed, became more conspiratorial. She started explaining that I was a bit simple, but that was okay because it made me easy to manage. I nearly choked on my beer. Easy to manage? I kept my expression neutral, but inside I was reeling. Her parents looked uncomfortable with the comment, but my girlfriend was just getting started. She told them I wasn't very bright, that I'd barely graduated college and had a basic job in sales. For the record, I'm a senior account manager at a marketing firm and I graduated summa cum laude, but apparently, she'd never paid attention to those details. She said I was the kind of guy who was happy watching sports and drinking beer, and that I never asked complicated questions about anything. Her father looked genuinely confused by this characterization. He asked if I was happy in my job, and my girlfriend laughed, saying I was too simple to be unhappy about anything. I was grateful for the years of poker games with my college buddies because keeping my face neutral was taking every ounce of self-control I had. But she wasn't done. She started telling them about our relationship in detail that made my skin crawl. She said I was like a golden retriever, loyal, affectionate, but not particularly bright. She told them I believed everything she said without question, and that she could tell me she was working late or going out with girlfriends, and I'd never suspect anything. That's when my blood ran cold. The way she said it, the knowing look she shared with her mother, it was clear she wasn't speaking hypothetically. Her mother asked if she was being careful, and my girlfriend assured her that I was completely clueless. She said I trusted her completely because I was too naive to imagine she'd lie to me. I sat there, smiling like an idiot while my girlfriend systematically destroyed me in front of her parents. Every late night at work, every girl's night out, every weekend she'd been too tired to see me. Suddenly it all made sense. And the worst part was how confident she was that I'd never find out. She was so sure of my ignorance that she was confessing to cheating on me right in front of me. Her father looked increasingly uncomfortable, but my girlfriend kept going. She told them about her coworker who'd been pursuing her for months. She said he was everything I wasn't: educated, sophisticated, ambitious. She said she'd been seeing him for 4 months, and that she was thinking about breaking up with me soon, but the timing had to be right. For months. We'd been talking about moving in together 4 months ago. We'd looked at apartments, discussed getting a dog, made plans for the future, all while she was screwing around with some guy from her office. Then she said the thing that nearly broke my composure completely. She told her parents that the reason she'd been avoiding bringing me around was because she was embarrassed of me. She said I was a phase, a comfortable relationship before she settled down with someone more suitable, someone more like her. Her mother finally spoke up, asking if she was being fair to me. My girlfriend waved off the concern, saying I was too stupid to get hurt because I was too stupid to understand what I was missing. She literally said, "He's too stupid to even know." That's when I decided enough was enough. I waited until she finished her story, until her parents looked sufficiently horrified by their daughter's casual cruelty. Then I set down my fork, took a sip of my beer, and looked directly at her father. In perfect, fluent Spanish, I thanked him for welcoming me into their home. I told him his wife was an incredible cook, and that the meal reminded me of my grandmother's cooking. I said I could tell they'd raised their daughter with strong values, and that it was clear where she got her beauty from. The silence that followed was deafening. My girlfriend's face went through about 6 different expressions in the span of 10 seconds: confusion, realization, horror, and finally pure panic. Her parents looked stunned, then mortified as they realized I'd understood every word of the past 2 hours. I continued speaking to her father, maintaining perfect eye contact with my girlfriend. I told him I'd learned Spanish from my grandmother, Maria Elena Vasquez, who'd raised me until I was 12. I said she'd taught me that family was everything, that honesty was the foundation of any relationship, and that respect was earned, not given. Then I addressed her mother directly. I thanked her for the meal and apologized that I wouldn't be able to visit again. I explained that I'd just learned some very important information about their daughter's character, and that I needed to make some difficult decisions about our relationship. My girlfriend finally found her voice. She started babbling in English, trying to explain, trying to take back 3 years of lies and 30 seconds of panic. She said she was just nervous, that she didn't mean it, that she was just trying to protect me from her parents' judgment. I stood up from the table, still speaking Spanish to her parents. I told them I was sorry they had to witness this, and that I hoped they'd understand why I needed to leave. Her father nodded solemnly, and her mother actually reached over to squeeze my hand. Then I switched to English and looked at my girlfriend for the first time since I'd started talking. I told her I'd heard every word she'd said, every lie about my intelligence, every confession about her coworker, every cruel joke at my expense. I said I'd trusted her completely, just like she'd told her parents, and that she was right. I had been too naive to imagine she'd betray me like this. The drive home was 2 hours of the most uncomfortable silence I've ever experienced. She tried to talk several times, but I told her I needed time to think. She cried, she apologized, she begged. She said she loved me, that the coworker didn't mean anything, that she'd been confused and made mistakes. When we got back to my apartment, I helped her get her things from my place. She kept trying to explain, kept insisting that she'd never meant for me to get hurt. I told her the truth, that I wasn't hurt because I was too stupid to understand what I was missing, just like she'd said. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't spoken to her since, despite dozens of texts and voicemails. Her friends have reached out, saying she's devastated, that she made a mistake, that she wants to make things right. But how do you make right 3 years of lies? How do you take back calling someone too stupid to deserve honesty? Update 1. It's been a month since the dinner disaster, and I need to share what's happened because this situation has gotten more complicated than I expected. 2 days after I posted, my ex showed up at my office. Security called me down to the lobby because she was causing a scene, crying and insisting she needed to see me. I agreed to talk to her in the coffee shop across the street, mainly because I didn't want her disrupting my workplace. She looked terrible. It was clear she hadn't been sleeping, and she'd lost weight. She started apologizing immediately, saying she'd been going to therapy, that she realized how horrible she'd been. She said she'd ended things with her coworker the night after our dinner, that she'd told him she was committed to making things work with me. I listened to everything she had to say, and then I asked her one question. How long had she been planning to break up with me? She tried to dodge it, but I pressed her. Finally, she admitted that she'd been thinking about ending things for months, ever since her coworker had started showing interest. She said she'd been too comfortable with me to make a clean break, that she'd been hoping she'd figure out what she really wanted. So essentially, she'd been using me as a security blanket while she explored other options. For months, I'd been her backup plan, her safety net, her convenient placeholder until she decided what she really wanted. The Spanish dinner conversation wasn't a moment of cruel honesty. It was her true feelings finally spoken aloud. I told her there was nothing to fix. That even if she'd never cheated, even if she'd never said those things to her parents, the fundamental issue remained. She didn't respect me. You don't strategically plan to leave someone you respect. You don't mock someone you love to your family. You don't lie to someone for months while you figure out if you can do better. She left crying, but I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Update 2. The coworker situation has blown up in ways I never expected. Last week, my ex's best friend reached out to me through social media. Apparently, my ex had been telling people a very different version of events. In her version, I'd been secretly recording her conversations and had manipulated the situation to make her look bad. She'd been painting herself as the victim of my deception. Her friend wanted to hear my side because she'd always liked me and the story didn't sound right. I explained what really happened, and she was horrified. Turns out, my ex had been lying to her friends about our relationship for months, making me sound controlling and jealous to justify her behavior with her coworker. But here's the kicker. Her coworker is married. His wife found out about the affair when my ex showed up at their office crying and begging him to leave his wife for her. Apparently, he'd never had any intention of leaving his family. He was just enjoying the attention from a younger woman at work. When she forced his hand, he chose his wife and kids, and now my ex has effectively destroyed her career along with our relationship. Her friend told me my ex had been hoping the coworker would be her upgrade, her ticket to the sophisticated life she thought she deserved. Instead, she lost her job. She was asked to transfer to another department to avoid the hostile work environment she'd created, lost her backup plan, and lost me. Her parents have been calling her constantly, apparently mortified by what they witnessed at dinner. I should feel vindicated, but mostly I just feel sad. Sad for the 3 years I wasted, sad for the person I thought she was, and sad that someone could destroy so much over something so ultimately meaningless. Update 3. Final update because this story has reached its natural conclusion, and I need to put it behind me. Yesterday, my ex's mother called me. I was shocked to hear from her, but she said she'd been thinking about our dinner conversation for weeks and wanted to apologize for her daughter's behavior. She said they'd raised her better than that, and they were ashamed of how she'd treated me. Her mother explained that my ex had always been their princess, the first in their family to go to college, the one with the office job and the nice apartment. They'd spoiled her and made excuses for her selfishness because they were proud of her success. But seeing her casually destroy a 3-year relationship while mocking someone who'd shown nothing but respect for her family had opened their eyes. She told me they'd had several serious conversations with their daughter about her behavior, her values, and her treatment of people who care about her. Apparently, my ex had been expecting sympathy and support from her parents, but instead got a harsh reality check about the kind of person she'd become. Her mother also told me something that put the final piece of the puzzle in place. My ex had been telling her parents for months that she was dating someone beneath her, someone she was settling for because she couldn't find better. The dinner wasn't just cruel, it was calculated. She'd been building a narrative to justify her behavior. painting me as less than worthy of honesty or respect. But her plan backfired when I turned out to be everything she'd claimed I wasn't: educated, multilingual, perceptive, and definitely not the naive fool she'd been describing to her family for months. Her mother ended the call by saying she hoped I'd find someone who deserved me, and that she was sorry her daughter had wasted so many of my years. It was one of the most gracious apologies I've ever received, and it gave me closure I didn't know I needed. I've started dating again, slowly. I'm more cautious now, more aware of red flags, but I'm not bitter. This experience taught me that respect is non-negotiable in a relationship. You can work through disagreements, financial stress, career changes, even some forms of betrayal. But you cannot build a lasting relationship with someone who fundamentally doesn't respect you as an equal. The Spanish conversation that night revealed who she really was: someone who viewed relationships as strategic advantages rather than partnerships. Someone who thought love was about finding someone convenient rather than someone compatible. Someone who believed respect was optional as long as the other person never found out. I dodged a bullet, and I'm grateful. My grandmother used to say, "La verdad siempre sale a la luz." The truth always comes to light. She was right, as usual. Sometimes the universe has a twisted sense of justice, but sometimes that's exactly what you need. As for my ex, I heard through mutual friends that she's moved back in with her parents and is looking for work in another city. I hope she's learned something from this experience, but that's no longer my concern. I'm too busy building a life with someone who sees my worth, speaks my language, and would never dream of mocking me in any tongue. Some lessons are expensive, but they're worth every penny when they teach you exactly what you deserve. If you'd like to see more stories like this, a gentle tap on the subscribe button would mean the world to us. Please subscribe.